Thank you for joining us today for the MyStar Learning Series. Today, we'll be hearing from a group of informal science educators from across the state of Michigan to connect you with science resources you can use in your classroom.
I am Chris Gear. I'm MyStar's professional learning facilitator, or professional learning coordinator, rather. With me today is Lindsay Watch, and she is a MyStar curriculum writer, and she also works with us to do a number of different professional development projects. And Marianne is with us today. She's the MyStar director. She's the person who solves all of the problems with everything that comes up in terms of subscriptions and access to the website and all kinds of amazing things. And she provides us great leadership and guidance. With us today, we have Kevin Fraley from the DNR, Eileen Bokenstein from EGLE, which used to be DEQ, right?
Yep.
Yes. Trisha from Inland Seas, Angela from Michigan Sea Grant, and Matt from the Michigan Learning Channel. And so they are each going to talk to us a little bit about some of the great resources they have for Michigan educators. And then at the end, we'll have time for a little question and answer. All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over. Our first speaker is Kevin from the Michigan DNR.
Hey, everyone. I am Kevin. I am with the Michigan DNR. I've been there about 18 years. I've been in environmental outdoor ed for 40 years, been directing the programs for Michigan for a while. I'm also, like Eileen, an advisor to the state's environmental ed organization, the Mayo, Michigan Alliance for Environmental and Outdoor Ed. And I always boil our DNR stuff down into 3 pots. Am I supposed to move these slides here?
Nope, I will be happy to.
Okay. So the first one is basically our visitor centers. We have 10 visitor centers that you can see on this map around the state. There's also one in Detroit we added a few years ago, the Outdoor Education Center, Outdoor Adventure Center, which for some reason, unbeknownst to me, is not under the Education Services blob. It's a separate entity, but they do education as well. But these folks specialize on field trips, most of the school, obviously during the school year, and then in the summer, the visitor centers swing over to family-oriented programs. Most are in state parks. A few are at state fish hatcheries, but they welcome all of you out there to the visitor centers for field trips. They also, if you're fairly local, you can see the map there, they will come to your school as well. And then the other big news, which is tied to that, was Governor gave us $4 million for the next 2 years to try to get every 4th grader in Michigan to a Michigan State Park for a program. So we think it's a spinoff of the federal government, if you're aware, has been allowing 4th graders to come into national parks for free with their family. This has been going on, I think, for like 4 or 5 years now. And a few states have jumped onto that. And so state parks would allow a 4th grader and their family to come in for free, but they wanted, we were the lucky ones to get to ramp it up. So they wanted us to bring classrooms to state parks and, spend an hour, 2 hours with the group of kids and do all kinds of programs that touch on a lot of the standards. So we got the money October 1st, and the governor wanted a program October 2nd. He was not messing around. But luckily, we had been working on this preemptively for a while. We kind of had a program outlined out, which she told us she wanted to come to our program. We slammed it all together for October 2nd at Bay City State Park there. And I will say this about the governor: she's a good sport. She took part in every activity we did with the kids. And it was like 88 that day, and she was, rocking her blue blazer, and so that she was tough, man, tough cookie there. So that program is just, you're going to hear a lot more about it in the next 2 years. It's going to be everywhere because there's a lot of money going to be invested in getting these kids out. So that's one avenue. If you're interested in field trips or nature education, you can find us at all of those visitor centers. The next big bucket that I would say we work in is professional development. So we do a lot of programs. One day, talks at MSTA. We have a room all day long, and again at the Mayo Group we do sessions. So we do the short hour-long programs for teachers. We also do the 4-hour professional development programs you've heard about, probably like Project Wild and Project Learning Tree, which are how to certify teachers to teach about forestry and wildlife and fisheries in the classroom. But the one I have pictured here on the slide is kind of our big program. This is a week-long program we've been doing for 15 years now. Those of you who, I'm sure there's no one on this call that would remember the famous Teachers Environmental School that started at the Ram Center back in the 40s. So, and that program ran for about 50 years at our conference center up on Higgins Lake. And then it slowly fizzled out. So we kind of started our own thing in 2008. The Academy of Natural Resources. It's a week-long professional development for teachers there again on Higgins Lake. And then we do, a few weeks later, we do one up in the Upper Peninsula at Michigan Tech's field campus. So these are week-long programs for any age, for teachers that teach at any age, I should say, any age teacher too, I guess. And so we rotate the classes in and out, but it gives you an opportunity to learn a lot of natural resources education. And then that's our big PD one. And then Salmon in a Classroom is our I don't know, kind of one of our hallmark programs. It's been around like 20 years. We have over 300 schools in Michigan participating now, elementary, middle, high school, not quite split in the thirds, but pretty close actually. So over 30,000 kids a year participate. And what's cool about Salmon in the Classroom is it's not a 1-hour talk by someone like me, but an total immersion into natural resources education, the Great Lakes, aquatic management. And so kids get eggs. The schools will get eggs that you see on the slide, salmon eggs, Chinook salmon eggs. They're actually being delivered as we speak. They're going all around the state this week and delivering these eggs. Some schools get them a little earlier, but they raise these eggs through all the different stages in their aquariums at schools, and then they release them. That's the big deal. They release them before they go home for the summer, and it's a huge deal, the release day. So that's a really cool program because we now have generations of kids coming back that are now teachers actually that say they remember, learning about it when they were in school. So that's a cool program. Those are our 3 big buckets.
Sure. And I'm seeing some things that I want to post on our Facebook page. This is awesome. Thanks, Kevin.
Okay.
All right. Next up is Eileen.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me today. My name is Eileen Bookestein. I'm the Environmental Education Coordinator at the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, or EGLE. And like Chris said earlier, you might remember us as DEQ, or Department of Environmental Quality in the past. Got renamed in 2019 when Governor Whitmer was elected and did some reorganizing of the department and dropped a few more things into it that weren't there before. So name change to reflect that. So I've been with the department about 2 years now, just coming up on my 2nd year. As Kevin mentioned, my position also is an advisor to the Michigan Alliance for Environmental and Outdoor Education, which I dropped a link to that in the chat. Most of us presenting here today are members of that organization, and it's a really awesome professional network if you are somebody who likes to teach about the environment and outdoors. So definitely get connected with us if you aren't already. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the work that we do at EGLE. My role is actually kind of interesting. It's a statewide environmental education coordinator as identified in Michigan state natural resource law. So it's kind of a unique position. And there's, unlike DNR, where there's many educators, there's one at EGLE, and it's me. So I'll tell you a little bit about what our programs are and yeah, if you have any questions, again, Kevin and I both have to jump off at 4:30 for a board meeting for Mayo, actually, but we can answer any questions in the meantime too. So you can go ahead to the next slide. So a lot of what's happening with our environmental education at EGLE is under the heading of what we call EGLE Classroom. We provide support to educators, both formal in the classroom and non-formal around the state on environmental quality topics. So I often will tell a teacher, hey, if something is an abiotic factor, that's what I cover. And if it's a biotic factor, it's probably something Kevin covers. So that's sort of your cheat sheet of which one of us you should ask for support on something. There's a little bit of overlap, of course, but in general, we're talking about, air, land, water, energy, all those kinds of things, and protecting those resources as well as the public health. So our work falls broadly into a couple of big categories as well. We have a lot of lesson plans and activities available on our website. I'll talk a little bit more about MEEKS when I get to the next slide, but that is a set of curriculum that is specifically designed for middle and high school teachers. We provide professional development around MEEKS as well as around the Michigan Green Schools program. And I am a facilitator for many of those statewide programs like Project WET and WILD and stuff as well. Although if you want a PLT or a WILD workshop, I'd probably send you the DNR anyway. But Project WET, I love to do stuff with that too. We are building up a resource of educational videos through our EGLE Classroom playlist. So Michigan, go ahead and subscribe to Michigan EGLE on YouTube. We have our EGLE Classroom playlist. We also have a bunch of materials that teachers can borrow. We've got models, we've got water testing kits, we've got air testing supplies and groundwater modeling kits that you can check out from us that you can use at no charge to you. You just have to get yourself to your nearest district office, which are located all around the state, to pick it up. And then we have instructional videos that go along with those as well. And we're rolling out some new sort of short form educational videos over the next year as well. Some sort of 5 to 6 minute videos. Our current series that's about to come out, it's called Talking Trash. It's about how landfills and recycling and composting work, very like PBS style kinds of videos. So keep your eyes peeled for those. We do have somewhat limited capacity, but depending on where you're located, I can help you pull together someone from our office, one of our offices, to give a presentation or come to an event. And then one of the really cool things we've been working on the last year or two is what we call the EGLE Career Series. So we have a bunch of 3-ish minute videos as well as some written interviews with all different staff in our department to help you learn about what they do in their day-to-day job, what their educational background looks like, how they got to where they are today, what they thought they were going to do versus what they do now. And it's really fun to just hear them tell their stories. And pretty much everybody is like, this isn't what I thought I was going to do, but I had an open mind and I was willing to learn on the job. And it's just really cool for students to kind of see the career paths that are out there, because sometimes you don't know what your options are. So those are some of like the big picture what we do. And then I'll tell you a little bit more about some of our specific things. If you want to go ahead to the next slide, I'll tell you a little bit about MEEKS. So some of you might be familiar with MEEKS or have heard it before. It's the Michigan Environmental Education Curriculum Support. And there are 7 collections of lessons. These have been developed over the course of many years through a partnership between EGLE, or DEQ at the time, and many educators across the state, with the lead on writing happening through Central Michigan University and the Michigan Geographic Alliance. So 2005, 2006 is when the very first units were written, and then over time more were added and many of them have been revised. So you can see on the screen here, air quality, climate change, ecosystems and biodiversity, energy resources. There's 2 different land use versions. One is for elementary, one is for middle. And then water quality. So these, as you can see, some of them, it's been a while since they were revised, and we have just finished revisions on our ecosystems and biodiversity and water quality units. Those were re-released this past summer, and workshops are happening now. The last few in-person workshops are just wrapping up this month, and then in December, those will be widely available publicly online for you to access at no cost, which is really cool. In the past, you had to go to a workshop and pay $50 and get a big binder, and that was the way you got your MEEK stuff. But it's all going to be online and all freely available to you going forward. Ecosystems and biodiversity is still at a middle school level. The water quality is really exciting, I think, ramped up to a high school level and is built as a series of case studies around real issues happening in Michigan. So it's really fun. I really like the new water quality unit. I think you'll enjoy it if you're a high school teacher, and if you're a middle school teacher, there are pieces you can pull out for sure to use in your middle school classrooms as well. The old water quality unit that was written for middle school is not going away. It's still accessible. It's still out there. But this is a revised, better aligned to current standards and more timely version. And then our climate change unit is in revisions right now and will be released in December. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We actually have a webinar we'll be hosting at the beginning of December through EGLE Classroom, where we'll be talking about some climate change work that we're doing in partnership with Mayo, the Environmental and Outdoor Education Association. And then we also will be releasing some of the MEEKS climate materials at that point as well. So keep your eyes peeled if you're interested in that. And then finally, my last slide on here. The other big program that we coordinate is the Michigan Green School Program. So I don't know if any of you have participated in that in the past. Maybe some of you have. This program's been around since 2006, I think, was the first year it operated. It ran as a nonprofit for many years, and the individual who ran the nonprofit was not able to continue in that role, and the nonprofit shut down. And when that happened, the program came to EGLE in 2021. So we now are the statewide coordinators for that program. And there are a series of county coordinators across the state that helps review applications that come in from schools. So what this is, if you're not familiar, is a certification program for schools that allows them to demonstrate their commitment to sustainability actions in their schools and on their campuses, but also to environmental and sustainability education with their students. So there's 4 categories of activities. Within those categories, you need to complete at least 2 activities per category, with a total of at least 10 activities to get certified. And there's different levels. You can be a green, an emerald, or an evergreen school, depending on how many activities you complete. So this is a really fun way to really inspire students to try to, reach a goal. Like, why are we learning about this environmental stuff? It's something for them to strive for, and they get recognition. They get you can get a flag for your school. You can get like clings to put on your windows. You get to brag about what level of school you are. And then this year, this is, you're some of the first people to hear about this, but this year in April, we'll be hosting a student Earth Summit, or a Green School Summit, one-day event for students in April to come and have be able to share what they're learning and what they're doing in their classrooms with each other, and learn some new strategies to bring back to their school. So look for that coming out soon. We have, if you go to the EGLE Classroom website, you can sign up for our newsletter, and you can sign up for the Green Schools newsletter and get notified about all that stuff as it comes out. The other thing I'll just mention, the deadline for this is already, so Michigan Green Schools at deadline application opens January 1st. So you've got time still to go back and look at what you've done and see if you qualify for this academic year. And then if you're really advanced in your school's work, there's a program called the Federal Green Ribbon Schools Program, which is a recognition you can only get one time, and you have to be nominated by the Michigan Department of Ed. And MDE works closely with us in the Green School Program to help nominate schools up to that federal award. So if you've been doing green schools for a while, you are feeling really good about what you're doing, you want to get this like extra bonus certification level, you can apply for that. The notice of intent is due for that, I think at the beginning of November. So you just missed it for this year, but you could start working on it for next year if that's something you're interested in. And all the information's on the Green Schools Hub page. So those are the big pieces of what we do here at EGLE. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know now, or drop them in the chat, or send me an email, and I'm happy to chat.
We did the Green Schools application, Eileen, at my school. It's not nearly, it looks like it's overwhelming. And then you start thinking, when you start going through the list, you're like, hey, we do that, and we do that, and we teach about that, and we do. And we were always able to get at least the first level.
That's exactly what I tell schools when I go out and do a presentation on Green Schools. I literally walk through like the activities, and I'm like, raise your hand if you do this. And people usually are at least at that level of they've got 10 activities, or maybe they've got 8 or 9 and they just need to like add one thing. So it is not as overwhelming as it looks. And I will tell you one thing that we did differently last year. It used to be the application was December 1st through January 1st through March 1st. And it was very like firm. As many of you know, the Michigan Science Teachers Association conference is like right over that weekend. And I was like, I'm not going to go to MSTA and promote something that closed yesterday. So we keep the application open through the first weekend of March now. So we will be at MSTA with our booth set up, and we will help you if you have problems with your application. So come see us if you need assistance walking through that at MSTA as well.
Yeah, that was fun. And we had a big banner in our hallway. And yeah, that was a great program. Thank you to you. But we're going to move on and hear from Trisha at Inland Seas.
Hi, all. Thanks for coming. And it's really poignant. We're all getting ready for this place-based education conference, and the underscoring there is that you got to be proud of the place that you're in, and all of the resources that both Kevin and Eileen just mentioned are, just helping us to connect more to those resources. And how much more proud can you be than like being part of like the student group that gets to hang a banner saying that you're a green school because of the work that you as a kiddo are doing, right? Or you as a teacher are doing. So that's a really cool piece. My name is Trish Smirjak, and I'm the education coordinator at Inland Seas Education Association. We are physically located in Suttons Bay, Michigan, which is one of the peninsulas in the Pinky. I'll do it this way. But our boat is pretty well known because it travels. The last few years, it has been in 4 of the 5 Great Lakes. So it has likely come to a port near you at some point in the last few years. Thank you. And that's a picture of our flagship ship with the pretty red sails. And we do a lot of cool stuff basically to get kids thinking about what science looks like on the Great Lakes and how to inspire stewardship of the Great Lakes through curiosity and passion, and consider these sort of blue-green economy jobs that are coming out that are focused on the Great Lakes and focused on being environmentally friendly, being more sustainable. But really the reason I'm here is because I've gone to a couple of MyStar trainings and have frequently heard from teachers saying, man, I wish I knew about XYZ, that I could bring it into the classroom with the MyStar program. And I said, hey, I know I have a friend who does this, and I have another friend who does this, in a couple of breakout groups. And so the piece that I want to really showcase with you guys is, would you forward the slide, Chris? Forward the slide, Chris. Thank you. Is that we are an organization that comes to a lot of coastal communities, and we work with all these other brilliant people that are that you see on the screen, but that you have someone in your community that wants to support you, right? And between the resources Eileen has, and the resources that Kevin has, and the resources that I have, and the resources that Chris has, there's someone, and Angela and Matt, who you haven't met yet, but will. There's somebody who's willing to do something. Nathan, Katie, if it's free, it's for me. There's somebody who's willing to support you and help connect you. We don't have the MyStar curriculum, but we have the knowledge of how to help you integrate what we do into that. So if you hear anything that you like, my whole role here is to show up and tell you that there's some brilliant people across the state doing things. That said, I, as a member of Inland Seas, we bring our boat all over the Great Lakes. We've got programs for high schoolers, and they cross-dimensional with our, the 3D learning, because we are looking for patterns and we are doing scientific practices. And so we actually, our Diving Deeper program, the kids become scientists, and they actually create their own research question and their methods, and they present it to the captain, and then we go out and we investigate it, and that's really cool. So we do a lot of different things in our programs. We've got watershed education programs that are happening from when the sails go down, when we put the boats to bed, we brush off our actual watershed, and we teach you the different ways that scientists are monitoring our riparian zones, our streams, our places like that. And so we are one of many organizations that can help actualize something you might have read about or just studied in the curriculum. We can help you actually implement something either on your campus, or you can come and visit us on ours. Specifically, our campus is great because we have a place you can stay and walking distance to a couple of woodlots that you can use that are preserved by a conservancy. But there are places near you as well. Not that you shouldn't come hang out with me someday. You've heard a lot about MAEA, the Michigan Alliance for Environmental and Outdoor Educators. And that isn't just science educators, that's also English teachers and social studies teachers and math teachers and people who want to learn how to integrate environmental concepts into their teaching and outdoor concepts into their teaching. I'm a member of GLEAMS, which is the Great Lakes Educators of Aquatic and Marine Science. Basically, anybody who teaches about or studies the oceans or the lakes, right? The Great Lakes chapter is about the Great Lakes components of these large lake systems. So if you use or want to learn about careers on the Great Lakes, that's a professional organization that can be really supportive of you. I also work with Earth Force really closely, and Earth Force is one of the many groups that helps you to do environmental civic action programs in your community. So those are some ways that if those things are interesting to you and you want to learn more about, I can be one of those connectors that helps you see how the things you're already doing in your classroom with the MyStar curriculum can be broadened or expanded to make a really cool program. All of that to say, a lot of the times the stuff that I do comes with funding. So I'm offering my time free of charge or for, pennies on the dollar. I have a lot of partners. All of us have a lot of partners throughout the state to help make those connections. And we're also, we're great field trips. You can come and learn yourself and do an adult field trip, also called professional development, with us in a 4-day sort of very intensive field course where you learn all the pieces and parts of watersheds and how they can apply to your classroom. But we have connections with other people and run all their professional developments. We were a Meeks PD provider as well. We have a community of educators throughout not just Michigan, but also into Wisconsin and Minnesota, and we've got New York teachers and Pennsylvania teachers and Ohio teachers that are a community of knowledge that are learning and growing together. So if you start to connect with us with programs, I can connect you to other beautiful humans who are doing great work, and they might be close to you. And we focus on the watershed. And if you are standing right now, you are in a watershed. If you're sitting right now, you are in a watershed. If you're studying the water cycle, you're actually studying the watershed, because you can't do a water cycle unless there's some topography. And the topography is the watershed that's cycling the water, right? And so we really care about watersheds and how what we do on land impacts the most precious resource on the planet. And so if that's something that you're interested in, the chances are that I can either connect with you or put you in contact with somebody who can support you in growing. And then I just have a couple of PDs. The timeline is passed for some of them, and a couple of other resources. So there's some really cool digital resources that I just wanted you to have about. And if you have any questions about them, you're welcome to reach out to me if you'd like to learn how to integrate any of them into your classrooms, or have any, would just like to learn a little bit more. So yeah, you don't have to know about the resources. You just have to experience them, and I can help you connect. I can help connect you to the piece that's going to be an anchor for your curriculum. So yeah.
All right, Trisha will be with us after if you have questions or think of questions. I I would like to give a plug just quickly for the Lake Guardian. I did that in 2019. Was an amazing experience, absolutely amazing. So teachers, you apply for this program, and if you get selected, it's completely cost-free, and I think there was a $400 or $500 stipend. You go for 6 days on the Lake Guardian, which is a big EPA research vessel. And it'll be you and about 20 other teachers and a few teacher leaders, and then real scientists from real universities around the country who get grant money to do research for a week. And so the Lake Guardian like fills up their labs for the summer with these different researchers from different parts of the country, and they're all studying something different. And so when you're there as a teacher, you work closely with one of the researchers who's doing research that week. It was a super cool experience. And so highly recommend considering that. And speaking of Lake Guardian, that was actually a Sea Grant program. And we're going to hear from Angela next about Michigan Sea Grant.
No problem. I didn't put Lake Guardian here, so you did a great job. It'll be
okay.
It'll be on Lake Erie next year. So if that's something
that's what I did in 2019, Lake Erie. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So I'm Angela Scapini. I'm an extension educator with Michigan Sea Grant and MSU Extension. If you aren't familiar, Michigan Sea Grant is a cooperative between University of Michigan, Michigan State University, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Can you go to the next slide? Perfect. So this kind of shows this kind of a confusing slide, but it shows the Great Lakes Basin Sea Grants. So any state that has a shoreline, whether it be on the oceans or the Great Lakes, has a sea grant. So we work closely in a education space with the Center for Great Lakes Literacy, which is just a place where all of the sea grant states and our partners come together and make some really cool education opportunities surrounding the Great Lakes and its shoreline. Sea Grant also is focused on healthy coastal ecosystems, resilient communities and economies, and sustainable fisheries and aquaculture. Will you go to the next slide? So I'm just going to focus on 2 of the programs for this. The first one being Great Lakes Literacy Education Exploration, which has 2 not capitalized E's for no reason at all. And so a GLE is an opportunity with introductory collection of resources where partners are assembled and can better equip educators to explore Great Lakes literacy with youth through place-based education and stewardship opportunities within both your school and community. So these are completely free. They're introductory resources that are kind of split into bite-sized pieces, 3 parts. And if you want to learn more about that, you can click the link that's on the slide. It'll take you to the Center for Great Lakes Literacy website. Can you go to the next slide? We currently have, I keep wanting to say 5 because up until today there were 5 topics, but we just added a 6th today. So we have coastal erosion, marine debris, vernal pools, urban water cycle, aquatic invasive species, and newest as of today, climate literacy. So these will give you, again, an introduction to these topics, kind of give you some resources that you can integrate with these topics with your students. You'll hear from a professional in those designated fields within the lesson themselves as well. Could you go to the next slide? So the reason that we made GLEs, it was originally a response to the pandemic, and it kind of stuck just due to the demand and the people that were interested in committing to this resource. It's a commitment for us to Great Lakes literacy and learning. It's a community building in a digital space. It gets educators connected with one another that are interested in this kind of place-based learning. It addresses the changing needs of teachers, and it's an opportunity for growth. And then next slide, please. So the second one that I am going to highlight is our Teaching Great Lakes Literacy program, which is brand new. We just kicked it off last night. So we are piloting it this year. It's kind of taking the place on our website that used to be Teaching Great Lakes Science, which was the most visited spot on our website. It had free lessons that educators could use and access. Those lessons still exist, but they're going through kind of a curriculum review process right now to make sure that they follow accessibility concerns and just live up to the standard that we need them to. So we're piloting this program this year, and the lessons will become available at the end of the pilot through the EGLE and Teaching Great Lakes Literacy, or EGLE website. It's geared towards middle and high school educators, and the way it works is we take a researcher that's doing real Great Lakes research and has real Great Lakes data, and we pair them with a math teacher and a science teacher from both middle and high school. And then the teachers work with the researcher to create lessons that follow next generation science standards and math standards, using that real data, so that teachers can then pilot that real data in their classroom, kind of bringing a local relevance and feeling of place. So the researcher will also work so that they can kind of tell the story using that data, but there'll also be a good contact for like career development, career opportunities with the students. So it kind of follows this basic structure. There's an application period. Then the teachers will pilot last year's lessons with their students. There will be a kickoff event. Teams plan and meet, and they develop lessons over the period of about 9 to 10 months. They'll pilot the new lessons with their students. There will be a capstone event, and then the lessons that come out of that, or the products, will go through a curriculum review process and then be uploaded onto the website. So I just wanted to put this in there as everyone's radar, because we're doing the pilot now, but we plan to offer it again next year. We got 2 years of funding from the Great Lakes Fishery Trust. So if that's something you're interested in participating or applying to participate in for next year, we're going to focus on the Lake Michigan watershed. This year we're focusing on Lake Huron. So yeah, definitely something to keep on your radar. If you go to the next slide, please. You can see how you can stay connected and learn when the application period opens. So we have our Center for Great Lakes Literacy, or EGLE newsletter. I believe this QR code, I should have checked it before, but I think it takes you straight to the newsletter. If not, it'll take you to the website where you can then sign up for the newsletter if you're not already connected. So you'll get to know some other opportunities that we have. We have professional developments that go on with different partners. We have some other programs that we offer. And if you have anything that you're interested in, kind of echoing what Tricia said, you can reach out to us and we'll either offer something like that, or we know someone that offers that sort of thing. So we can definitely connect you to some of the other partners within our network. I think that was all I have. I'll be around later for questions. So.
Sorry, I'm muted again. All right, thanks so much, Angela. And this is our final presentation for today. Last but not least is Matt from the Michigan Learning Channel.
Thank you. So I'm the program director for the Michigan Learning Channel, which is a statewide PBS partnership, actually. I get to work with all 6 public media stations across the state, engaging communities across really all pre-K through 12th grade learning opportunities. And so a lot of what we do is really just sharing content. And I know a lot of the people on this call because we are sharing a lot of their content that has been in these other presentations that we kind of bring onto our site. We put on our 24/7 broadcast channel so that stuff is available digitally across the state for teachers, families, and students to access online, but also for families and young people to see on the television in places across the state where they don't have access in schools or online. If you go to the next slide, I think there's a little bit more information about what we do. So really the goal here is just bringing together, joining forces across public media and education to really great projects, and thinking about how we are trying to close the gap as much as possible between what is happening in schools and what teachers are being asked and required to do, and the limitless resources that, for example, are on this call right now, as well as in our local communities. And so we do a whole ton of work really trying to build and promote and make visible those connections. We work across school to library partnerships, library to home, school to organizations like the other ones on this call, really just trying to help build and support that ecosystem with the media lens that we have to kind of promote and create content. So The next couple of slides then are some of the content that we do either create or curate and share. The Michigan Learning Channel, we have our own website, michiganlearning.org, where we host and promote and share a lot of different content. We do have some of our own pieces of content that we create. So one of the shows that's featured here called On Location is our kind of virtual field trip series, where we create content at museums and sites across the state to showcase those opportunities, especially for students who may not be able to travel to the different locations. Curious Crew is a science show that is created at our partner station WKAR on MSU's campus in East Lansing. And Great Lakes Now is a middle school and up, obviously Great Lakes oriented science and environment journalism type show that is produced by our partner station, Detroit Public TV, and is shared across the entire Great Lakes watershed with PBS stations. So those are just a couple of examples of what's available on our site. We have a science sort of portal where you can access these shows among many, many others for different grade levels, as well as different playlists on our site where we have video content from partners like EGLE and DNR and Metro Parks and some of our other content partners that, again, we intake on the website as well as on our broadcast channel. And whenever possible, we also link to lesson plans and resources. So working really to bring together all these opportunities for teachers and learners. The next slide is going to showcase a site that is not ours. It's actually a national site that's available to anybody, but I love talking about it because it's a really fantastic platform that's provided by the national PBS sort of programming team. It's called PBS Learning Media. And this is a place where all PBS content, including what we produce, is available for all subjects and all grade levels, including some professional development materials and opportunities. And you get, because it's PBS and it's a national resource, you get some of the bigger opportunities here. So while Michigan Learning Channel sort of focuses on really local content and Michigan specific content that we love to share, this platform, PBS Learning Media, is going to showcase opportunities from a program like NOVA from the PBS world, or the colorful one in the bottom right corner here that says Bringing the Universe to America's Classrooms was a partnership between GBH, which is the PBS station in Boston, and NASA. And so includes like a full scope and sequence of learning opportunities across grade levels in different disciplines. So there's opportunities there. There's also NOVA has recently released something I'm really excited about, which is a really exciting opportunity to get involved with producing content in your classroom, empowering specifically middle school and high school students to think about how they might actually storytell around science, environmental, and climate issues in their communities. So there's an entire curriculum devoted to helping students inquire and find some of these issues that are happening in their communities and then producing their own media content about it. And the other thing that we love to do on Michigan Learning Channel is then showcase that content. So if you work with young people in your spaces to actually produce their own science, environment, climate, water content, we love having that shared with us so that we can promote it and share it out back on the channel. I think I got one more slide. Yeah, because the last important thing that I love talking about is that while we get super excited about sharing content, and I'm going to reach out to every single person on this call after this to say, hey, I heard about something cool that you do. Let's get this on MLC and share it across the state. We also do have engagement hubs at each station around the state, and we have team members there who are available to come and visit classrooms and libraries. We've got STEM kits that we can bring. We can bring our lesson types. We love engaging the content and sort of bringing it off the screen, especially when it comes to the sciences and natural exploration and some of these topics, because it really needs to be hands-on and place-based. So that's always an opportunity. We have, we can bring episodes and do screenings. We love working with teachers and other partners in the community. So always love to pitch that. Please reach out. I'll connect you with a local engagement person. And then this is not, I don't have a slide for this, but since we've talked about the place-based education conference a bunch of times already, if anybody is going to be there and you have a little bit of free time on Saturday, we are actually going to be in the green screen studio at WGVU, which is our Grand Rapids media partner. That's the station there. It is in the same building as the conference. So all you have to do is go downstairs and turn right, and then you can join us in the studio. And we're there because we're actually capturing content with a bunch of educators who are going to be there. If you have a lesson that is a student facing, a topic that you love talking about, a vocabulary word that's kind of tricky for students, or like an example of learning that is place-based oriented, science driven, or if it's just like a quick snippet, kind of promo that we can capture about your content, I would be more than happy to figure out a way to work that in. So partners, as well as teachers, if you happen to be at the conference, I put my email in the chat, reach out, because we want to get prepared a little bit to know when you're coming and maybe work up a script if possible, but that's an opportunity that I'd love to extend to this group. And that's me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Matt. Yeah, I'm scribbling notes like crazy.
I'll just add that I've worked with some teachers in my previous life before I came to this state. I worked in West Michigan with a bunch of teachers on watershed stuff, and I worked with several teachers who worked with the PBS station there to do like storyboarding and video PSAs with the PBS team, and it was an awesome experience. So I just want to also verbally say, highly recommend contact Matt and take him up on that offer to connect with your local station, because they do some really cool stuff with students. And then the student work is then shared out through their channels as well. And they can see their stuff on, on the radio, they can hear it on the radio, or they can see it on TV. And it's just really awesome for students. So I love what they do with that.
Yeah, having that authentic audience makes all the difference in student motivation and engagement. And this is an amazing connection and opportunity to make that happen. I'm excited to hear about it. I'm going to tell you guys I'm working on our quarterly newsletter, and we have a pretty active Facebook group, and I've got lots and lots of things to share with people. Kind of excited about it. So,
hey, Miss Petrosky, I see a question in the chat about working with local PBS stations.
Yes.
Yeah, so I will say I am leading Michigan Learning Channel, which is kind of this unique, I work with all the PBS stations and I have the opportunity to kind of work independently.
Okay.
So I would be more than happy, especially depending on where you are, to figure out if there's a way that Michigan Learning Channel can come and support what you're trying to do with your class, and or sometimes your local PBS station is able to come and support. Sometimes what that looks like is a quick, media lesson opportunity, empowering kids to create content. We've done teachings about how to write a script or how to think about content. We could even work with you ahead of time if it doesn't work out to come and visit, to make sure you're prepared, because there's lots of resources out there to support student content creation, all the way up to, and this is where sometimes it differs depending on station and capacity and funding. I've done experiences where we bring an entire crew to a classroom and actually create content with students right there with professional cameras and lights and green screen, and then we edit it into a thing. So lots of different opportunities. Eileen, I would imagine, is talking about the work that WGVU does with Groundswell, which is the GLSI hub in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
And they do a lot of watershed work, and that is like a specific, their work is really around student media creation, but it's a passion of mine, is bringing that, to classrooms across the state. So I would love to talk more about what we could bring to your classroom for sure.
That would be awesome. We're right now just starting unit 6.2, and the end project is having them to do a PSA. So that's kind of where and it's more like on hand washing and spreading viruses. So that's thinking in the future of getting ready to, like, when we get to that spot, I think that would be really great to work with you. Or I live in the Saginaw Bay area, so Delta College is our public broadcasting system here. So I would love to work with you on setting that up. That would be amazing.
Yeah, so me and your local engagement coordinator, Lauren, is absolutely fantastic. And Delta
Okay.
has been really supportive in the midst of sending out a camera crew and doing that. So we'll make it happen. Reach out to me when you're ready.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I apologize for not getting there on time today. My computer does not like, at the end of the day, it likes to kick out. So I had to figure out cords again. So sorry for being late.
Oh, no worries. We're glad you're here. And if you would let us know at MyStar when you do this, we'd be so excited to see that.
Okay, yeah, because we just did posters for the Bay City State Park on stopping the spread of invasive species and ways to stop that. So we're in the process of getting colored printing made here at school, and then we're going to send those over to the DNR. So
Oh,
in
that's
our area.
awesome. Yeah.
Where do you teach?
I teach at Handy Middle School in Bay City.
I went to Handy Middle School in Bay
You
City.
may have had me. I'm here forever. No, I have been here forever. This is my 28th year here. So yeah. I'm sorry, and we have these new fancy cameras. I don't know which one it is to turn the camera on. That's how you got my emoji on the screen. Oh, so that would be awesome. All right. So Matt, would I just then contact you through your resources then on the page that you had in the in your slides?
Yeah, Chris, will you send our email contact out to everybody after
Yes.
this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody who registered will get a copy of the slides and an agenda and a copy of the video.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It looks like Rebecca's maybe interested in the in organizing a green club. Do you?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Trisha.
Oh, the Green Schools program, Rebecca, is the application process is pretty formalized, which is why it like sounds like it looks like a lot. But and you have to do a couple things from different categories, right? Some sustainability things, some and I don't remember let me get Chris, could you get that slide back out? Because I've only, you probably have a better answer than me, but I have gone through just like looking at it with teachers, and yeah, so there's, but there's always like energy audits and things like that you're already doing in your classroom a lot of the times that that can qualify you. And what I think is really cool about it is that if you're clever about it and you sort of encapsulate it and the kids feel like they're part of this, really like they're part of the process to make sure you're certified as a green school, which is really beautiful.
Thank you.
So yeah, don't get overwhelmed by the pages and pages of things, because you only have to do a couple in so many in each category, and there's lots of different ways to get the credit in each category that you need to get the total to get the green school. And a lot of stuff is probably already happening if your school recycles paper, for example, or does any kind of recycling in the lunchroom, or if you teach a unit that has anything to do with the environment, which you probably do. If you do any MyStar curriculum is going to have at least 1 or 2 units at some grade levels that have to do with the environment, so you can check that off. But there are a few things. If you wanted to do a club, you could go through the checklist with your the students who come to the club and show interest, and there are a few things that on those lists that would be great student projects. One of them that we used to always check off for credit was to adopt an animal at the Detroit Zoo, and our student council group, our student leadership group, did that anyway. They used some of the money that they raised every year to support one of the animals at the Detroit Zoo. So things like that can work. Your kids can focus on something, 1 or 2 things maybe that they want to focus on for the year. That would give you something to do with them as a club, but it would also lead towards this green school certification, which kind of gives them, again, that authentic audience and authentic purpose. And there are just lots and lots of things on the list. that you can choose from. And it's pretty easy really to fill out and send it in. And they're not real picky, like nobody actually comes to your school and checks. So I would say it's definitely worth doing, and it might be a nice structure for a green club, you know, to focus on a couple of 1 or 2 things to do in order to get that certification, along with the other things that you can already check off. I think that would be a great way to start a green club.
Thank you.
And I would absolutely send an email to Eileen and tell her what you're doing and see if she has ideas, you know, to help support that too. Sometimes, you know, people will know about, you know, grant opportunities or mini grant opportunities or those kinds of things, you know, if the kids need some money to do something.
But there is the DNR manages something called Wheel to Wood. So if you're like, yeah, all this is great, but there's no way that I can get my kids out, I have no money for busing. And it is the grant is a little bit difficult, but I'd be happy to support you. Like you just you're not sure when you're filling it out if what you're doing will qualify, but I'm telling you that it will. Almost always the answer is yes. You just need a little support in like writing it in an effective way, and a couple of organizations around us have like created a boilerplate to help you with the wording. So if there's something, if all of this sounds great and you want to come hang out with us, or you want to go visit Kevin at one of the state parks, or you want to you know, reward the kids that built signage for the state park with another trip, that there's a funding source to help support that, because most of us can make everything free once you get here, but there's still that like, how do I pay for my sub costs? How do I pay for my busing? And we can also help you figure out ways to do that.
Yeah, that program looks very cool. I've posted it a few times in MyStar resources. Because the district that I worked in didn't have a fleet of buses because we were, you know, kind of an urban suburban district, and the kids could walk to school. So we would have to rent buses, you know, commercially, and that costs far more than anything else, you know, we would do for the day. So this Wheels to Woods is a cool program. We'd like to let you know that we have more stuff coming up. We're doing claim evidence reasoning tomorrow from 4 to 6, 3-dimensional assessment in MyStar, kind of a deeper dive on Wednesday, November 29th. And then our next learning series event is in January, and that's around scope and sequence guidance and deciding what MyStar units you might want to teach in your classroom and why. And so we'll have some of our staff there to help you sort through that. So I would like to thank so much our attendees today, the teachers and the presenters, and our MyStar staff who made this possible. Lots of great ideas. I'm super excited to share them with teachers, and I hope that we've made some good connections and help some teachers integrate some place-based practices.